G'day, I'm Chris and this is Game Chambers. Today we have a best of 3 on the Enticity Ladder between myself and Zombie Quest. So the first battle is going to be here on the Plains of the Dead, and it will be my Empire versus his Lizardmen. Now I believe I picked Empire and Vampire counts for my 2 picks, and here Zombie here has counter-picked with the Vampire count. With the Lizardmen. So for my Empire build I have Karl Franz up on Deathclaw, a couple of war wagons out at the front, a line of state troops with a couple of flagellants and Sigmar Suns at the very front to make it unbreakable, a couple of handgunners backing that up, some spearmen to cover off from any flanks that might come, and a couple of units for Empire Knights with a single great cannon in the middle. And for my mage I have brought a Jade Wizard with Earthblood and Regrowth. For Zombie over here we have the Great Lord Mazdamundi up on Zlark, and he has brought along, what's he got here? He's got the Ruination of Cities, Banishment, the Shield of the Old Ones, Apotheosis, and the Net. So pretty much a standard loadout for Mazdamundi. He's got a front line here of skink cohorts, a couple of skink cohorts with javelins, with Saurus warriors as shields holding up on the far flanks. He has more cohorts with javelins in the back line, and the cohort of Sotek in the middle as well. 2 Bastiladons with the Ark of Sotek. They will be there to effortlessly munch through my state troops, and 2 Cold One Riders at the back. So I don't think these are the anti-large version. They're not, so they're just the generalist, good against most units type cavalry. And up in the sky we have 1 unit of Bahok Sentinels, which with the bomb drops can easily deal with any sort of bombs, range units or artillery if they can get into the back line. So let's get on with the game. So I'll start by moving out the war wagons, because I think that's probably also the entire army, but I want to make sure there's no chameleon stalkers out there. So I send them forward, and the cannon takes a couple of shots at the skink cohort, I think, before I switch it onto the Bastiladon. I'm trying to get the war wagons to also shoot the Bastiladon, but I don't want to take too much fire from the skink cohorts. Probably could have afforded to take a few hits from them, but I also didn't want to risk getting surrounded by the Cold One Riders. Have Karl in there, finding a bit of air support, just in case they do get stuck. Karl can try and get them out. The rest of my army is staying fairly static. I'm going to let the Lizardmen come to me, so I get to let the cannon and the guns get as much work done as possible. And Zombie is just advancing the Lizardmen pretty much straight towards me. I start moving the cavalry out on the flanks, just to... probably should have brought them in a little bit earlier, just in case they could have been more useful. And now the guns start teeing off at things that are in range. So we have a bit of fire coming in on the Bahok Sentinels, because I don't want them to destroy my artillery and the guns, and Zombie brings them back out of range as well. Apotheosis goes down on the Bastiladon with the Ark of Sotek, just to try and keep it healed up. And I see that the cavalry is a little bit far away from the Bastiladon, so I do bring Karl Franz in with Gal Miraz to see if I can try and get rid of one of these Bastiladons at least. While I'm doing that though, I do miss the charge from the flagellants on the skink cohorts and the Sigmar Suns on this flagellants. I think I might get the charge here. I do get the charge at the last moment for those. Mazdamundi just charges straight on through into my guns in the back line. So while I do manage to push off the Ark of Sotek, I do have Mazdamundi in my back line with my handgunners. Spearmen on the flanks are now holding, and we have, I think, a Ruination of Cities. Nice Ruination of Cities that goes down, pretty much routes those handgunners and those spearmen in the one cast. I'm starting to bring Karl back. The Bahok Sentinels, now with everything else getting distracted, managed to dive in on the Great Cannon. So Karl's coming back. I bring these spearmen in to try and deal with them, as the Empire Knights on this flank I lose sight of, and they get charged by the Cold One Riders, and these ones on this flank, same thing. They head into the Saurus warriors to try and protect the war wagons and get jumped on by the Cold Ones. So Karl comes back to try and protect the cannon. The cannon crew does disembark, so I pull them back just to try and make sure they stay safe, hoping that I can sort of bring them back a little bit later on. With the Bahok Sentinels gone, I should have brought these handgunners back maybe over this way to sort of form a bit more of a firing concave, but at this point my front line has pretty much been destroyed by the Lizardmen, so I need to sort of reform ranks and see what I can do here. Get a nice net on Karl. He's now trapped in here, but he's not doesn't have anything to follow it up with, so it's more just to save Mazdamundi, I think. So Karl just gets stuck there for a little bit, and I'm trying to get the war wagons to do what damage they can to Lord Mazdamundi, but in hindsight they may have been better off trying to deal with these Cold One Riders and wear them down a little bit more. So the spearmen are trying to get onto Lord Mazdamundi, because he's just gone and disrupted the cannon, while the Jade Wizard is just trying to avoid the fight. I do drop a heal over here for Karl, but I actually miss him and just get the flagellants, so there's a bit of a wasted heal. And it looks like I'm doubling up units here, which is not good, but they are engaging an Arc of Sotek, so do have to watch out for the snake drop. So, and there it goes. So the snake drop will do significant damage to both these units. But Karl's coming in to try and see if he can clean up those. The war wagons get caught out a little bit by the Cold One Riders here. I'm trying to get them out to provide a bit of fire support, and I've got a whole heap of troops at the back here rallying close to the back line. So I don't know if I noticed these in time, but I should be trying to get these out, especially the guns, and get them shooting and get the cavalry running interference. But I think I'm paying a little bit too much attention trying to get these war wagons out and keeping them moving. J-Wizard's doing alright. The cavalry have come back on this flank, so they're coming back in to see what they can do. And Karl is trying to do his best. He's dived in on Mazdamundi to try and kill him, but I think he's ended up having to fight. Is he netted here? He's not netted, but he's poisoned by the Arc of Sotek, and he's been pushed back from Mazdamundi. So the war wagons are trying to kill Mazda, but maybe again, better choice would have been the Cold One Riders. So these guns here, I've now finally got them under control, but they've got Cold One Riders all over them, and I'm a bit too late bringing any further support for them. I think this unit of war wagons got a regrowth to keep them in the fight, and Karl's picked up a regrowth as well. So my Jade Wizard with the 2 or 3 Earthbloods and now 2 regrowths is probably running pretty low on Winds of Magic, so he's probably not going to be able to do much more. Now at this point, things are looking pretty grim, so unless we can get some terror routes and kill some of these big dinosaurs, it's pretty much game over. We've only got the war wagons, Karl, and the mage left. So I do drop another Earthblood on these war wagons to try and keep them going, but they're sort of getting swarmed now by Cold One Riders. Karl goes in and see what he can do. Does he have Gal Miraz up? He's got Gal Miraz, drops all the buffs and starts putting an absolute pounding on Lord Mazdamundi, but he's got so much support here. Even Karl Franz is not going to be able to kill Mazda with that much protection around him. Now the J-Wizard has been caught and surrounded by Cold One Riders. This war wagon is sort of managing to get itself out, because they're still firing while they're in melee, and they're pushing their way through. So they're quite a resilient unit. I do quite like the war wagon. And here we go, Zombie throws down a net and catches Karl in here for the whole army, basically, just to circle him and cut him down. So he is still trying to retreat, and I do finally notice the net and turn him around to keep fighting, but it's pretty much game over at this point. The war wagon's pretty much out of ammo. The cavalry coming in is going to cop a Ruination of Cities here. No, it misses them. But what do we got? 14 Empire Knights against all this cavalry, all this lizard infantry. I mean, they do nearly break those skink cohorts. Well, they do actually break the skink cohorts, so not too bad of a charge, but there's just a lot of lizard infantry here. And there we go, Army Losses kicks in, and it's a victory for the Lizardmen. Let's have a look at those values there. They have Karl going. Only got 1800. Not very good when it comes to Karl Franz. So you're paying about 2700 for him. You want him to get a little bit more value than that. Mage of Life. Don't expect anything from him. He's just there to heal. Infantry did pretty poorly across the whole line. Even the Sigmar Sons failing to make their money back. One unit of handgunners did pretty good, and the other one just got wiped out for not a whole lot of damage. Cavalry, I did not micro them well at all. Lost track of them out on the flanks, and they got killed by the Cold One Riders. Pretty good value on the war wagons, both getting one getting over 1,000, one getting close to 1,000, and the cannon only 345 value, so not really very well protected or used there either. Mazdamundi 2100, skink cohorts all did reasonably okay across the front line. Cohort of Sotek doing pretty good. This unit of Sorcerer is doing quite well too. They're pretty. Oh, skink cohort did pretty good as well. Cold One Rider, so yeah, this is where the real value was. They just tore apart the Empire Knights, they put damage onto the war wagons, they put damage onto Karl, they sort of were everywhere, very well executed and played. Hawk Sentinels didn't really get their value back, managed to shut them down, thankfully. And the Arcs of Sotek, one of them did alright, and the other one not so well. So this was one that probably got, I mean, it still got some value back, considering it was pretty much nearly killed before it even reached the line, so he's done quite well to bring that back and do what he's done. So good game to my opponent, LPF Zombie Quest. And that was our game 1, and then we'll see you again in game 2. Here we are back with game 2. So Zombie Quest picked Beastmen and another faction for his 2, and I think it was Wood Elves actually, and I've gone and selected Bretonnia. So this is a matchup I'm still still playing around with. But I think actually quite enjoying Alberic in this. So I've taken Alberic with his most of his items, I think. So we've got the Wrath of Manan, which is really good at breaking the infantry line, the Heroic Killing Blow, the Rally, and the Braid of Bordelot. So this keeps the my infantry in check from fleeing so quickly, and also gives them a bonus versus large, which is quite good against a lot of the Beastmen units. Front line of peasant mobs just to absorb charges and missiles. Secondary line of men-at-arms with shields and battle pilgrims with the Holy Wardens of La Maison in the middle. And a Damsel of Life with Earthblood and Dwellers Below this time. Got 4 peasant bowmen with one of them with pox arrows and a single unit of spearmen to bring up the rear. In the back line I've got 3 units of Knights of the Realm and the unit of Companions of Karl, mostly because of they've got a bonus versus large and they have fire resistance. I thought it was higher than that. Okay, they got 25% fire resistance, so it makes them quite decent against Taurox if we end up fighting against him. For zombie here, we've got Centaurs with throwing axes, 3 of them, 2 on one flank and 2 on the other. A few Ungor herds with shields out the front, a couple of regular Centaurs, some Bestigors, the Sons of Goros, and the army is led by Taurox with a Baraspor bodyguard and a Bray Shaman of the Wild who has, I think, Traderkin, Bray Screen, and... no Traderkin? Yeah, and Traderkin. I thought I saw a Traderkin cast in that game. And what's Taurox brought with him? He's got, looks like most of his toys, Brass Body, Slaughterer's Call, and Blood Creed. Okay, so as we see the army, I start moving forward. I send peasant mobs out to keep these Centaurs with throwing axes from coming too close, and I do bring the couple of bowmen on either side to see if I can push them back a little bit as well. Now, this was probably a mistake that I made. I should have tried to deal with these skirmishes a little bit more efficiently. Didn't really handle this skirmish phase very well at all. So I don't want these archers overextending, so I bring them back. But these peasants I send forward because I want to see what hidden troops that he has available to him. Once I see what's there, I start moving the men-at-arms and the battle pilgrims forward, but I probably should have kept them back and sent the cavalry forward. And here we go. So the Centaurs commit to a charge on the peasant mobs to save their arrow, and I get 1 volley off with the peasant bowman, which doesn't manage to get a whole lot of value at all. In fact, he gets 0 value, so they don't land any hits on that unit. And he does cycle charge into the peasant mob to break them, which is good use of the Centaurs, making sure he doesn't waste any ammo. I do try and get a charge on them with the Knights of the Realm here, but you can see Centaurs have got 93 speed and the Knights of the Realm have only got 75. I do manage to catch 1 unit, but they will manage to disengage and get away, and I'm going to take a fair bit of damage from the throwing axes. The rest of the army engages, and Wrath of Manan goes down here on the Ungor Spear, pretty much deleting and breaking that unit and doing significant damage to this Bestigor unit here as well. So that's going to definitely help us break this little pocket here. Alberic doesn't want to join the fight with the Gorbil. I thought Taurox was in the fight, so I probably should have sent Alberic in there, but instead I send him over here with the Companions of Karl to see what they can do about these Centaurs. The Peasant Bowmen are trying to send off these Centaurs, and the Knights of the Realm managed to get a nice charge in the back here. Over on this flank, the peasant mob has been broken by the Centaurs, and I did send the Knights of the Realm over to chase them, but must have misclicked and just ended up parking them near the Centaurs, so that's a massive misplay. They're just going to get destroyed by those throwing axes. So bowmen firing in, trying to do what damage they can against, they're shooting at the Bestigors at the moment. They probably should be firing at the Gorbil, but everything in here's got fairly high armor, so it doesn't really matter what they shoot at. They should be mostly seeing off the Centaurs. The Bray Shaman of the Wild pushes through onto my archers, and Alberic looks like he's going to respond. No, Alberic is coming over here to fight Gorbil and Taurox. No, Alberic's just going to watch the fight for a little bit and spread out his... Oh, there we go. Dwellers Below goes down on this blob, so this Bestigor herd is going to take some nice damage. Now, where is she? Only 29 kills. But it's all on Bestigors with a couple of Ungor kills in there. So I try and catch the Bray Shaman with the companions here, and also try and get Alberic in, but they do manage to just squeak away as Taurox and the Bray and the Gorbil go in. And I'm a little bit timid with Alberic and don't send him into that fight, which I probably should have sent him in. Drop an Earthblood, and then Alberic has a bit more of a think about it. And again, losing track of Knights of the Realm when they're throwing axes around is brutal, so they're just sitting there taking throwing axes to the back, and that's a very poor play on my part. Over here, where Alberic has dived in with the companions, Taurox is taking some decent damage, but not enough, and as soon as those companions break, I don't want Alberic fighting Taurox by himself, so Alberic is pulling back to get back into the air. These archers are now trying to deal with those Centaurs with throwing axes, but they have done their work. They have pretty much gotten rid of all my Knights of the Realm. And this is a nice brace screen that goes in on those peasant bowmen. I was definitely way too blobbed up there. And the Holy Wardens have also overextended. We don't need them up here, nor same with these Knights of the Realm. They've obviously overextended, retreating, fleeing units. I need them back with the rest of my army. Alberic goes in on Taurox again. This time Heroic Killing Blow is up, so he has 660 weapon strength. And we drop down a heal to try and pick up both the Damsel and Alberic, but we don't quite get the Damsel. Should have waited for that one until the companions got back, but I was a bit worried that Alberic would need that healing to fight Taurox. So the companions are coming in now to give him that support, while the archers are trying to do what they can to Gorble over here. Now these guys are just out of range of picking up the bonus first large buff from Alberic, so they're not getting that bonus against the Gorble, but there is still plenty of missile fire coming in to help them out. We've got a couple of rallying peasant mobs coming in, and in the middle here, Alberic and the companions are actually managing to bring down Taurox, which is what we bring them for in this matchup. So doing quite well here. Alberic's now having to switch onto the Gorble, and we drop another Trident of Manaan here. Probably not a very well aimed one. I should have waited until the fight was joined, but I was hoping to be able to get a break on these Centaurs from it. But I definitely should have saved that for the late game, for when there's any sort of blobs going on. It is a very powerful item indeed. The Taurox is broken. Gorble is... Did he die? Or I think we got the Gorble, did we? Yeah, we got Gorble and we broke Taurox. So the companions of Cornell have done their job with Alberic. Alberic is going to give chase and make sure Taurox does not come back and try and regroup with these troops over here. I am going to probably lose this pocket, but I'm going to also have a unit of 73 Holy Wardens over here that I'm hoping will be able to help me finish out this fight. So Alberic is trying to finish off that. I do have a fair bit of health on the Damsel, but she's not able to get out. She's on foot, so she can't escape with all these Centaurs and chariots that are in here. The companions are broken. These Knights of the Realm are rallying. Peasant mobs broken. More peasant mobs broken. Pretty much all the Bretonnian infantry over here is going to break, and there's not much I can do to save this Damsel without sacrificing another unit. So I just leave her to her fate, and I'm trying to get all my other units to regroup over here with whatever I can get left. So if I hadn't sent these Holy Wardens forward and misplayed those cavalry, I'd still have a lot more capability here, and I should have saved the Trident as well, because we could have had a Wrath of Manaan in the back pocket for this coming phase. This unit of Centaurs comes in. Alberic's going to try and scare them off, and they do rout. I'm not sure how many routes they've had. I think that's their first or their second actually, but he's not going to be able to chase them. Actually, he's 100 speed. He could have chased them down. He is very tired though, so he will move slower than them. And Centaurs, I think, they're still at fresh. I think they have the ability to not get tired, don't they? What is that called? Yeah, I can't. There we go. Rowdy, perfect figure. So that's a very powerful ability when it comes to late game, especially for missile cab like this. So their stats are going to be at full, whereas all my units very tired. They're going to be taking fatigue penalties at this point in the game. So Battle Pilgrims, and Holy Wardens, trying to get the shielded ones out in front. Trying to just waste some of this ammo, because I can't catch them, because they're not exhausted and tired. So Alberic would be able to catch them if everyone was fresh, but he's not fresh. So bringing these spearmen in to try and regroup, and we're just trying to put some pressure on here. And I see these Centaurs coming back, contemplate sending Alberic that way, and then realise I'm not going to really get much out of that. These Centaurs charge into the front of my spearmen. They're so tattered that it doesn't really even matter, and this Centaur unit is at full strength. So even though that the spearmen were braced and took the charge like champions, there was just not enough health left on them, and the Centaurs just pushed through them. Trying to dodge in the air here with Alberic. I don't want to take any throwing axes, and Zombie switches back onto shooting the Battle Pilgrims to try and break the nearly broken unit here. Or he might be shooting the Holy Wardens actually, because they've got no shields, which would also be a smart move. I do manage to catch the Centaurs here, but don't do any damage. So I pop Alberic's rally, just to try and keep these Battle Pilgrims from running. I want to try and keep them in the fight for as long as they can, and it looks like he decides to commit the Centaurs to the fight here. So we try and get Alberic on charge on this unit. He pulls away, denying Alberic that charge, and the Holy Wardens also get denied their charge, and we're just sort of left here as a very nice skirmish cavalry play in this late game here. Just picking apart my remnants of the troops. Comes in here to finish off these battle pilgrims. Holy Wardens try and get a counter charge, but he pulls away from them, and then the other unit of Centaurs charges them in the back. Alberic does get in on this unit here though, takes a couple of them out with the charge attack, but I think at this point the balance of power is getting too much in the favour of the Beastmen. A few throwing axe volleys into Alberic, he's down under 1,000 hit points. The Holy Wardens are broken, and there we go, army losses kicks in, and the Traderkin also goes down just to seal the deal. Now let's have a bit of a look at the value here. That's a win for Zombie Quest, my opponent. Good game. And that'll be a win to the entire match as well. So it's a 2-0 win for him. So Alberic here, you can see 3,000 value. So between the anti-large, the armor piercing, and the Trident of Manaan, he actually does some very nice damage in this matchup. And I am quite a fan of Alberic in general. I think overall though I didn't play the battle very well, but I do like Alberic here. Damsel of Life, only 475 value, which is surprising. I thought that Dwellers Below would have gotten me more value. I probably should have brought a regrowth instead. Alberic could have still been on full health at the end there, and 475 value from on a Bestigor unit. Alberic probably could have managed to make that up quite easily himself. Peasants, you don't expect them to make their value back, but one of them did, and the others got pretty close. Same with his men-at-arms, so this one actually nearly made its value. The rest of them didn't. Battle Pilgrims also didn't really do that well, and either did the Holy Warden. So they will lose to Bestigors in combat, but they do actually trade quite well into the Ungors and Gors, which is what you bring them for. Peasant Bowmen, a couple of them did really quite well. These two didn't do too well, but overall they kind of paid for themselves, but they needed to be focusing down these Centaurs with throwing axes, who have, did a very good job, especially shutting down my knights, and none of my knights managed to pay for themselves, not even the companions of Cornell. I said Taurox here, not a huge amount of value for him either, and the Brace Shame of the Wild, actually a fair bit more from the Brace Screams and the Traderkins, and the Gorbil did alright for itself too. And the rest of the infantry didn't do anything fantastic. Bestigors, reasonably good. The normal Centaurs, we managed to catch them with our Knights of the Realm and Companions of Cornell, so they were shut down fairly well, as were the Sons of Goros, but where Zombie managed to really shine was with his Centaur play. So 207, 255 and 82 kills, and 1,800, 2,500 value and 500 value. So he's just done, the Centaurs here have just done some serious work. They've pretty much wiped out all the knights, they wiped out all the peasant mobs, they did a fair bit of damage to Alberic, and essentially they've put the Beastmen on their back and carried the game really well. So that was some really nice Centaur play from Zombie Quest. Wouldn't let me catch them. Definitely need to reevaluate how I deal with throwing axe Centaurs, because they are the bane of Bretonia's existence at the moment, at least in my hands. So anyway, good game to my opponent, Zombie Quest. They were fun games. They might have been a loss, but they were pretty close, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. So if you've enjoyed this stream, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.